Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Popcorn. This is Jason.
And this is Kai, and we have another great discussion for you today. The movie of the day is City Lights. It's from 1931. It's old. It's almost 100 years old.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I totally thought it was over 100 years.
Come on. So it's an older movie. Still want to give everyone a spoiler warning. We're still in January, so we're still doing our rom-com cuffing season genre of movies. Spoiler warning, and I'll give a brief description of the film before we start discussing it. City Lights is a silent romantic comedy drama film from 1931, written, produced, directed, and starring Charlie Chaplin. He wanted all the checks. The film follows the adventures of Charlie Chaplin's tramp, who falls in love with a blind flower girl and befriends a drunken millionaire. The tramp tries to raise money for the girl's eye surgery, but gets into trouble with the law and the millionaire's family. The film ends with a touching scene where the girl, who has regained her sight, recognizes the tramp by his hands and smiles at him. City Lights is widely regarded as one of Charlie Chaplin's masterpieces of one of the greatest films of all time.
Yeah, and I think we're like, after we watched this, we were talking about it where it's like I was trying to watch this in the perspective of watching this in 1931.
Yeah.
And almost kind of like be lost in the fact that like someone where film is sort of it's
Still
not
new.
brand new. It's not brand new. I think the first film ever like created was that like it's like a train kind of going down or like a horse. Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't
Right.
that thing in Nope?
I think so.
Or was that might be a lie.
I don't know. But we know a lot of things.
We know a couple things.
But I was trying to watch it in that perspective, and I think watching it in that perspective, you're like, whoa, you're almost like shocked by like how good Charlie Chaplin is in doing this tramp character, or just anything in terms of like the acting that he kind of brings into this film, and then also that it's basically a silent film. And so there's like some cut-ins with like the text of like you're reading like, oh, what someone says and stuff, and then like it goes on, and I think that kind of adds to the majesty of like Charlie Chaplin, because it's like he really came into the film industry when there was no sound included or no dialogue, so to speak, included with these films, and so his way of acting kind of added to the story itself and stuff, and he almost kind of built the story around his acting and his ability to kind of show emotion and body language.
The 30s, that was the Great Depression, right?
I think the 30s, yeah,
Roaring
like sort of
20s,
the end and everything, the
Depression,
20s, 30s. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, because I think we had talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I think we both got into the mind of someone of that era of like, okay, they didn't have all the fancy cameras and lights and all that. You're kind of just watching a silent film and gaining your knowledge from what's happening in the film based on how each character is acting. I kind of lost my train of thought for a second, but I enjoyed it. I definitely think if I was to compare this to movies now, it would be difficult because of just the bare minimum, the minimalism of this film. Like, I remember when I turned it on, it was silent. I'm like, okay, people are acting, people are playing things out. Should I have the subtitles on? And I put them on. I turned them on. I turned on the subtitles, and I was like, okay, still nothing. And then, because I was waiting for the cue card, I'm thinking like the movie's starting, there's going to be some sort of card saying something like, hey, they're acting such and such out. And there was nothing for a while. So I kind of was like, okay, did I choose the wrong movie? I'm like losing my mind over it. And then they finally have a card. And I was like, okay, I chose the right thing.
One of those movies.
Yeah. But I'm also thinking, I don't know if a director now could strip down their movie. I don't know how many movies that are out now that you could watch in silent. Like if you just said, okay, I'm going to mute it and still watch it as it plays out, if you would still understand the story arc of that film. There's probably some out there, but I don't know how many.
I guess the most recent kind of like, I don't know if it's the same kind of like theme of the movie, like City Lights and the whole like aspect of like it being a silent film. Charlie Chaplin's doing his thing. It's different from this film that I'm going to bring up, and I think about that John Krasinski movie. What is it, Quiet or
Oh
something?
yeah,
Or yeah,
not the silent place, the quiet place.
The Quiet Place.
Yeah,
Yeah. So like, but that's like a part of the story. Like you have to not, you
you
have to
have to
take,
be quiet.
like you have to like speak very low. There's
Mm-hmm.
also a character that is deaf and kind of
Yeah,
speaks in ASL and stuff. So that adds to the the kind of, there's similarities where like everything is kind of expressive, where you kind of
mm-hmm.
have to like, if you're talking without your language, without speech, you notice a
You have to
lot of
be
people get very
overly.
expressive, or like
Yeah.
they're very kind of like body movement, and you're like looking at the body language. um and that was well received, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if nowadays a movie like City Lights, and you have someone like a Charlie Chaplin, will, like, it's a totally different ballgame. Like
Yeah.
movies evolved to where that is not necessarily, it's not possible. It's just, I don't think it's going to do very well.
Because I think if someone somehow, some way, somebody got a time machine from back then and like they were here and they were watching a rom com, even if they watched Punch Drunk Love, like I think they would consider it an adult film. Like
Hmm.
they would have to go to a special theater to watch movies of now because they're so graphic.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like the whole like different times, like Tarantino used to talk about like the eras that basically like everything was kind of like out there during the
Yeah.
movies. Like it was like a decade where like everything was out there, whatever, you just do whatever you want in the movie. And then to transition to another decade where like it was very kind of regulated, where you don't show anything, you don't show any blood and all that stuff. And it kind of goes through these different decades and stuff. And I think the 20s and 30s, or even back then, it was very like you did a lot of this like slapstick comedy,
Yeah.
kind of like over the top comedy and stuff, but like it was just stuff to make people laugh or cry, but not anything else in the middle of it. And yeah, I think Punch Drunk Love would totally be like, oh, this is not a movie that we should be watching, or like
It'd be blasphemy. So I got
right.
my train of thought back. So if we were to put ourselves, I try to put myself in the mind of someone from that era, and it's like the 20s, roaring 20s, people going crazy, all the money in the world, throwing it around like it's nothing, and then get to the Great Depression, especially 31, like that's the beginning of it. I wonder how this movie was received by, like, I guess when common folk, like someone that has to find the money to go to the theater to watch this. If they were like, man, I spent all this money that I didn't have to watch this movie, I wonder if they were like, oh, this was great, like this really changed my mood or my perspective on things, or if they were like, why did I spend this money on this?
I don't know. I think definitely, like, if we're looking at it in the perspective of like someone that's living through the Great Depression, or even just having some hard times, like watching this, I laughed throughout the entire movie. I like actually enjoyed like Charlie Chaplin's like tramp kind of antics and everything, and the whole like dynamic between the tramp character and the drunken millionaire and stuff was
Yeah.
hilarious. I think I found it very funny. I was laughing throughout the whole time. So I think a lot of people could be walking out of the movie theater after watching this in 1931 and being like, at least I kind of got some funny times for at least an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I would be hard pressed to see if anyone walked out of there unless they really hated Charlie Chaplin. I don't know. Like, you
And that's
can't
what I
deny.
figured, because I enjoyed the interaction between Charlie and the flower girl, or the tramp and the flower girl, like
Hmm.
him trying to, even though he knew she couldn't see him, just trying to do everything to be memorable.
Right?
So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Now it goes to like we talked about like this month's kind of like subject matter, like our theme is rom-com. So Punch Drunk Love is it's a traditional rom-com but done in the style of Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah.
And we have another one coming up that's like a traditional rom-com where these kind of like these people have like a meet cute and then like they fall in love with each other and stuff. This came up when we were looking up like rom-coms, and this was like I was like I've never seen a Charlie Chaplin movie, and we need
Both
to
of
do
us.
rom-coms, and both of us have never seen a Chaplin movie. But what would you define this as a rom-com? I guess in the modern day, I don't know.
I guess, like, if you think about what he was trying to do in order to be memorable to the flower girl, like, he was kissing her hand and trying to be as close as he can to her. So I can consider at least that portion of it. And then even the outcome, like, she did remember him because of all the things he did. So I think when you and I spoke yesterday, we both were kind of like, I don't know if this is a typical rom-com, but now thinking back, I think it may be.
I think so too, where it's like you're laughing at like the antics that are going on in the movie, but then he's also trying to woo this woman that's blind, but then also goes and gets a surgery. But then the ending comes up as a very memorable ending. And I think I read today that like Albert Einstein, which is crazy because Albert Einstein was still alive or like was
era.
around during this time. And he said that it was the greatest ending to a film he's ever seen. And
goodness.
But I almost like when you look at the traditional rom-coms, traditional rom-coms end where like they fall in love, they get married, or they have children and all this stuff. This it almost ends like a Hitchcockian kind of ending where you're like you kind of don't know what she remembered him, but that doesn't mean that they get back together or something.
They didn't fall madly in love. They kind of just like, oh, I remember you, cool.
Yeah.
It's like,
now
what's
I can see that you're poor. You're not. You weren't poor before.
You're not the rich person I thought you were.
Yeah. I don't know. That's why I was like, man, like that kind of like. I guess it is a memorable ending because it's very abstract, where you can kind of come to your own conclusions, which is nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is nice. It's like we're always like looking for like movies like that, where like, oh, you can kind of like deduce your own ending to it, or you create your own ending. But this one, I was like, it's not that satisfying, like rom-com ending.
Because I think that's what that's what they bred into us is like they meet, they might have some turmoil, but then they fall in love. So for this, just like, nah, maybe they fell in love. You figure it out. You let us know. That was kind of cool.
I don't know.
Oh, I actually put down that I bet she felt catfished. I have that on my notes. I forgot to put that down in my notes.
There you go. Catfish did not exist back then, but that is
Charlie
a
Chaplin
relevant term.
Charlie Chaplin did it.
I was amazed. I wrote down that I was pretty much amazed by like the editing. I know back then like editing happened where like they just like chopped it and taped it. But how did they do you know? I don't know how the hell. Do you know how they do the fading of the shots?
No, that's something I've been trying to figure out. Like we both have watched plenty of old movies, but I watched some of the things they do in like old movies have the best intros. Like those credits in the beginning of old movies are the greatest. And I'm like, you had the most slapstick editing process. How the hell did you make this? So no, I don't know, but I want to know.
How did they do the title sequence of City Lights? Where it's literally something that looks like it's overlaid onto a live image and everything, or like an image. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how the hell it's magic that they figured this out.
Because I'm like, I have a digital camera and a laptop, and I'm scratching my head like, I think this is how you do it. And they were just like, slap, give me different layers, put the movie out for everybody to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I was amazed by it. There was like that scene where like he's driving around in the Rolls Royce, and there's like I don't know what they did. They put the camera
Steady camera, yeah.
onto the thing and then or whatever, like, and I know it's like a moving background, it's like a fake
Yeah.
background in the back, but I was like, man, that's amazing that they like
No camera shake. Like plenty of movies we watch now, like camera shake, and you're like, come on.
well, back
Man.
then the cameras like weighed like
They were
1,000 pounds, bro.
gigantic. Yeah. I don't know. I still don't know. We watched a whole documentary about it, and I still don't know how they shot that shower scene
No, see,
in Psycho,
yeah,
because that was a big ass camera.
I need to know math and science and
Just give me a behind the scenes photo. Just let me see, and be like, oh, I got you. You guys work magic.
This is a different film. This is a very different film, and it comes from a long time ago. But
it forces you to watch it too.
It does.
Since there's no dialogue, you have to watch it.
Yeah, it does, because you're kind of getting the story from his body movement, everyone's kind of facial expressions. But is that a downside? I was going to ask you what do you find as a negative to this movie?
There were moments where I thought, but then it plays into the whole act of it. But there were some moments I thought Chaplin was a little too over, like he was acting too much, that I could put as a dislike. But I think that's just part of the process and part of the film itself, what gave it its recognition. Other than that, I was cool with it. I don't know what the heck I should rate it. Like, we'll get to that, but I enjoyed it, and that would be my only gripe.
Yeah, at first when the movie started, I was like, when they were making those like speeches in front of like that, when they were like revealing the statue and stuff in the beginning, they were doing like that little like noise that come out of like those little like, remember those like little things that you like blow into and it'll make that like kind of scratchy noise or something.
Oh,
I forget what it's called. But yeah, I was like, man, they could have thought of some other noise to like make it mimic that they're talking and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to like look at negatives to this, because you're like almost amazed by how this movie was done. But yeah, you can see like Chaplin's antics are like kind of over the top, but I think that does kind of come into like what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And I think I read too that the actress that plays the blind woman, like Chaplin was like, oh, she's like brand new to acting and stuff, and so he was kind of like at a different level than her, and so it was hard to kind of like almost like that Jackie Chan documentary where like Jackie Chan's at this whole different level and like everyone's just trying to catch up to him. And like
it's like, all right, let's watch everything
clue.
Jackie does.
Yeah, so it's like it almost kind of puts Jackie Chan at a deficit, because now he has to work towards their skill, not like the opposite and stuff. And I think that was sort of like the same thing with Chaplin, where it's like, oh, I'm so comfortable in front of the camera that he's done so many movies that this young actress or something, or like new actress, it was almost like difficult for him to work with her and stuff. But
I'm surprised they may, but I don't know of any Chaplin documentaries.
I just found a website that's like totally dedicated to Chaplin. But in terms of documentary, I don't.
That just seems like somebody like, because he's an innovator. It's for the movie industry for sure. I'm surprised there's not multiple docs. I can Google it after, but off the top of my head, I can't think of one.
My first thing when I was watching this movie, I was like, I want to watch a movie where he's actually talking. Like, what does he sound like?
Yeah. And what does he actually look like? He like low key scared me when I was watching. When I was watching City Lights, I was like, that's a lot of makeup, dude. So I would love to see what he really looked like. Yeah, but like this could
I
be
think he looks like a normal dude
and
everything. I think he totally looks like a normal dude, but it's just so interesting to see, like, yeah, you built this character, and we know modern day people that have built this character, and it's like they can't step away from that character. It's like, that's my life now and stuff. And like, yeah, I wonder if Chaplin was like that, where it's like, I'm the tramp and that's my character and stuff. But in terms of, you said it's difficult to rate this film. How would you, did you come to a rating?
I didn't put one on Letterboxd. I would give it a 3.5, because like I enjoyed it. It made me like stay off my phone and like stay invested in the movie.
Right.
Um, Definitely, now that we've talked about it, it's definitely considered more of a rom com in my eyes. So, yeah, I'll give it like a 3.5.
Yeah, I ended up coming to a 3.5 as well, and it's like you said, I enjoyed it. I had fun. I was laughing and everything. It's almost like
Yeah,
not like at the aspect of like watching a Three Stooges movie or like a show, but I was laughing. I was
yeah.
enthralled. I was listening to the story, like watching the story and all that stuff. But
Watching the cards come up.
yeah, right. So I enjoyed it, but it's hard to like not look at it and like I understand where this movie came from or like
Yeah,
how this movie has changed things. But does that make it like a 5 out of a like in a 5-star rating? No, not
no,
necessarily. I don't know. I guess it's hard to like look at that, but like who would you recommend this movie to?
that's tough. Because like for us, like we watch anything and everything, so it's easy. But I don't know. I don't know too many people that like silent films. But I think maybe someone that's into rom coms uh, has maybe never seen a Charlie Chaplin film, but has heard of him, and they
Mm-hmm.
just want to kind of dive into it. This may be it was a good entry point for us, so maybe a good entry point for others. Yeah. So I would say that. I would say someone potentially looking for a rom com and uh, isn't mad about not having dialogue
Yeah, right.
from the actors, so a silent film, or someone that has never seen a Charlie Chaplin film and wants to check one out.
I agree with that. But to be honest, anybody in my personal kind of like realm of family and friends probably
Yeah.
we may suggest it, like you and I may meet somebody and or like go out with our friends and be like, "Hey, we just watched City
Have
Lights
you
with
seen
Charlie
this?
Chaplin and stuff," and like probably people around us are like, "Okay, I just
You
watched
mean that
Oppenheimer."
CeeLo Green song? Like,
So yeah, I think it'll be very difficult to kind of recommend it unless someone is really trying to go out of the way
yeah.
to watch a Chaplin movie or just something different. And I think this is something nice to have under your belt where you're like, oh, okay, I know something different.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Take it
now,
out during a dinner party. Like,
which
hey, I've seen a
I
Chaplin
know,
film.
right? If
Have
you're like,
you?
I'm never gonna see these people ever again, I'm just gonna say random things.
They start throwing out crazy movies and they're like, what is that? Oh, it's a
Right?
foreign film. Don't worry about it.
But will you buy this for your personal movie collection, knowing that it's like considered a very great film that kind of like
Yeah.
ushered in
That's
modern
never
films?
been, that's never been something I've like worried about. Like if it's on that top 100, like I'll check it out,
Hmm.
but I'm not gonna run and put this onto my, put this into my collection. I think
Yeah,
I would watch it again down the line, but I wouldn't rush to add it to my collection.
I think I'll watch more other Charlie Chaplin films
Yeah.
and be like, is this the best one out of them? I don't know. Maybe he's done so many of them that we'll see. But yeah, I don't see myself going out of my way to like go buy this film. And
How rich was Charlie Chaplin?
I,
Because he had every job in on the set. Like, who else got
I
money?
I wonder if that was just easier that he didn't need to like worry about like the fat cats trying to like give
Yeah.
him money to make his movie. That he was like, all right, I'm
We
just
need
gonna
you to
do
talk, Charlie.
it.
I'm not talking. I'm doing this myself. Get out my
Yeah,
face.
I do
Like,
whatever I want.
yeah.
I guess so.
Man, it's
I don't know.
Jackie Moon in the house,
Yeah,
man.
there you go.
Goodness.
All right, Kai, I'm gonna remember. Do you want to take us out?
Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Saturday Night Popcorn. I'm Kai. Sorry.
And I'm Jason. I'll be back next week with another one. And please like and subscribe to Saturday Night Popcorn, where we watch and discuss movies like City Lights.